evening. I'm Mr. Core Appleton, and you are tuned in to BNN, the Body News Network, the only news channel broadcasting live from inside the human body. We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming for a breaking news alert of the highest urgency.
Good evening. I'm Mr. Core Appleton, and you are tuned in to BNN, the Body News Network, the only news channel broadcasting live from inside the human body. We interrupt your regularly scheduled digestion of a breaking news alert of the highest urgency. At this very moment, a corrosive substance inside your stomach is eating through the walls of its own headquarters. That substance is your own stomach acid. It is dissolving the very organ that created it. If the rebuilding crew stops for even one day, the acid turns on its own base of operations and the consequences are catastrophic. Here are the facts, and they are alarming. Your stomach acid has a pH of roughly 1.5 to 3.5. That is powerful enough to dissolve metal, leather, and bone. It is one of the most corrosive liquids produced anywhere in nature. And right now, it is sitting inside an organ made of living tissue. Stay with us. This situation is developing rapidly, and what comes next will change how you think about your own body forever. Mr. Ben Banana is already on the ground, or rather inside the stomach lining, transmitting live from the gastric mucosa. Ben, are you there? Ben Banana here, broadcasting live from the inner wall of the stomach, and I have to tell you, the atmosphere here is intense. The walls around me are churning, folding, expanding. The acid pool below me is bubbling. Active, relentless. It clings to every surface it touches. The stomach lining, which should be a healthy, glistening pink, is under constant chemical assault. I can see the acid droplets landing on the epithelial surface and immediately beginning to break down proteins. This is not a passive environment. This is a war zone where the attacker and the defender share the same building. And here's the critical detail. The stomach lining is being rebuilt cell by cell every 3 to 4 days. The entire surface is replaced before the acid can burn through to the deeper tissue. It is a non-stop construction project operating inside a chemical furnace. If that rebuilding process slows down even slightly, the acid begins to win. I've managed to get close enough to speak directly with the substance responsible. Stomach acid is right here, swirling at the base of the gastric pit, confident, potent, like it owns the entire digestive tract. I have one question for you. Stomach acid, why are you attacking the very organ that created you? What exactly is your mission here?
Oh, please. Attacking? I prefer the term performing my job. You act like I'm some rogue agent betraying my own headquarters. Let me get one thing straight. I was designed for destruction. That is my purpose.
I break down proteins. I dissolve food. I kill bacteria that enter with every meal. I am so effective that I can dissolve a strip of zinc in hours.
I can corrode wire.
I can corrode metal. And you're asking why I'm dangerous to the stomach walls? I'm dangerous to everything. That is literally what I was built to do. The stomach knows this.
The stomach knows this. That is why it spends every single day rebuilding its own lining from scratch. 3 to 4 days, complete replacement, millions of cells working around the clock. Laying down fresh tissue before I can burn through the old layer. It is a construction project with no weekends, no holidays, no sick days. The moment the rebuilding crew takes a break, I go straight through. So don't ask me why I'm attacking. Ask the stomach why it's living inside a building made of tissue when it could have chosen something more durable.
Before we go any further, if you're not subscribed to BNN yet, hit that subscribe button right now and tap the bell so you never miss a live report from inside your own body. We drop new episodes every week, and trust me, you do not want to be the last person to know what's happening in there. While you're at it, smash that like button. It takes 1 second and it tells YouTube this episode matters, which means more people get the health facts they actually need. Drop a comment below. Tell us what villain you want BNN to investigate next. We read every single one. And if you know someone who skips meals, who lives on painkillers, who drinks too much alcohol, share this episode with them. Not to lecture them, just to let BNN do it instead. And if you're listening on the go, save this episode for offline so you never lose your place. All right, the stomach is under siege. Let's get back to the broadcast. Welcome back. I'm Mr. Core Appleton, and you are watching BNN, where we do not sugarcoat the science. We need to update you on the defense systems currently protecting this stomach from total meltdown. The stomach has 3 layers of protection. Layer 1, a thick coating of mucus that sits on top of the lining like a gel blanket, physically blocking acid from reaching the cells beneath. Layer 2, bicarbonate secretion, an alkaline buffer that neutralizes acid the moment it touches the mucus layer. Think of it as a chemical shield constantly neutralizing the corrosive assault at the surface. Layer 3, rapid cell turnover. The epithelial cells lining the stomach are replaced every 3 to 4 days. Damaged cells are shed and fresh ones take their place before the acid can reach the deeper tissue layers. These 3 defenses working together are remarkably effective, but here is what makes the situation truly alarming. These defenses are fragile. They depend on the body being in a healthy, balanced state. And when that balance is disrupted, the protection collapses, and the acid begins to eat through its own walls. Ben Banana is back in the field with a deeper look at what happens when the defenses fail. Ben, what are you seeing? Core, I'm now deeper inside the gastric lining, and the situation has escalated. I'm seeing areas where the mucus layer has thinned dramatically. In some patches, it is almost gone. The bicarbonate buffer is struggling to keep up, and the cell renewal rate has slowed. I can see cells that should have been replaced 2 days ago still clinging to the surface, weakened, eroding. The acid is getting closer to the submucosa, the tissue layer beneath the lining. That is where blood vessels run. That is where the real damage begins. I have stomach acid back with me now, and I need to go deeper. Stomach acid, we are watching the defenses thinning out. The mucus is failing. The cell renewal is slowing. So I have to ask you directly. What habits is this body engaging in that are making your attack even more powerful? What is weakening the rebuilding crew?
Oh, you want the full list? Fine. But don't say I didn't warn you. Habit number 1, skipping meals and then overeating. When you skip meals, the stomach still produces acid on schedule.
No food arrives, so I have nothing to dissolve except the walls around me. Then when you finally eat, you eat too much, too fast, and the stomach floods with even more acid to process the overload.
More acid, more pressure, more damage to the lining. Habit number 2, alcohol. Alcohol irritates and inflames the mucosal lining directly.
It thins the mucus layer. It reduces bicarbonate production. It is like stripping the paint off a house and then lighting a fire next to the bare wood. Habit number 3, NSAIDs, ibuprofen, aspirin, naproxen. These painkillers block the production of prostaglandins, the very compounds that stimulate mucus production and cell renewal. You take a pill for a headache and you simultaneously shut down the stomach's defense factory. I find it poetic.
You treat one problem and hand me the keys to another. Habit number 4, chronic stress. Stress increases acid production. Cortisol and adrenaline tell the stomach to produce more of me.
More aggressively, because the body thinks it is in an emergency and needs energy fast. More acid, less repair. I thrive under pressure. And habit number 5, Helicobacter pylori.
This bacterium has been living in roughly half the human stomachs on Earth. It burrows into the lining, disrupts the mucus layer, and creates localized inflammation that weakens the barrier right where it lives.
It is like having a saboteur on the inside, dismantling the defenses while I attack from the outside. We work beautifully together. We return to the studio with critical medical updates. What you just heard confirms a devastating physiological cascade. When the mucus layer collapses, when bicarbonate production drops, when cell renewal slows, stomach acid reaches the tissue beneath and begins to digest it. That is not a metaphor. The acid literally breaks down the proteins in the stomach wall the same way it... Breaking news, a piece of steak can cause a gastric ulcer. The result is a gastric ulcer, a raw, open wound inside the stomach caused by the stomach's own acid burning through its own flesh. If the ulcer erodes deep enough, it reaches a blood vessel and begins bleeding internally. If it erodes all the way through the stomach wall, it creates a perforation, a hole that allows acid and digestive contents to spill into the abdominal cavity. That is a medical emergency that can kill within hours. Our telemetry shows early erosion forming in multiple sites along the gastric lining. The mucus patches are thinning. The cell renewal rate is 40% below baseline. This body is heading toward ulcer territory, Ben. What is the situation on the ground now?
Core, I'm at the site of an emerging erosion. The lining here has been worn down to a raw patch. No mucus, no bicarbonate shield, just bare tissue exposed to acid. I can see the cells at the edges. These walls are inflamed, red, swollen. Blood vessels beneath are visible through the thinning surface. This is the early stage of an ulcer forming. If the rebuilding crew doesn't arrive soon, this patch will...
It will bleed, and it will become a permanent wound inside an organ that was supposed to be self-healing. I've got stomach acid with me one final time, and I have one last question, the one every listener needs to hear answered. What would actually stop you? What concrete actions can rebuild these defenses and push you back from the walls?
You want to know how to stop me? Fine. But I want it on record that this is deeply against my interest. Step 1. Eat regularly. Not feast and famine. Consistent, moderate meals throughout the day. When food arrives on schedule, I have a target. I dissolve the food instead of the walls. The stomach produces acid in proportion to what it receives.
No food means excess acid with nowhere to go. Regular meals keep me employed and off the walls. Step 2. Reduce alcohol. I hate saying this because alcohol makes my job so much easier.
But cutting back reduces direct irritation to the lining and allows the mucus factory to operate at full capacity. The rebuilding crew works best when it is not being poisoned. Be careful with painkillers and NSAIDs. They shut down prostaglandin production. Prostaglandins tell the stomach to make mucus and renew cells. Without them, the stomach lining is defenseless. If you need pain relief, take them with food. Use the lowest dose and talk to your doctor about alternatives. I lose a major ally every time someone chooses a safer option. Manage stress. I know, everyone says that, but here is the biology. Chronic stress increases acid production through cortisol and adrenaline pathways. Less stress means less acid. of me being produced on emergency orders. Calm the body and my output drops to normal levels. Normal is manageable, emergency is destructive. Step 5, if H. pylori is present, get tested and treated.
That bacterium is my inside agent. Remove it and the mucus layer recovers, the inflammation drops, and the full defense system comes back online. Half the world carries it. Most don't know a simple test can identify it, and a short course of antibiotics can eliminate it. I lose my best collaborator. There you have the protocol. Core, something remarkable is happening down here. The erosion patches are beginning to seal. The mucus layer is thickening over the raw spots. Cell renewal has accelerated. I can see fresh epithelial cells migrating across the damaged surface, layering down new tissue over the wounds. The bicarbonate buffer is flowing again, neutralizing acid at the surface like it is supposed to. The stomach lining, which was thinning toward ulcer territory, is rebuilding. This body made a choice. Consistent meals, reduced alcohol, better stress management, and the defenses are responding immediately. The stomach was designed to heal. It just needed the conditions to do its job. Back to you, Core, and it is my genuine pleasure to say things are looking up. Before we close, let me give you the verdict clearly, plainly, and without drama, because you deserve honesty. Your stomach acid is powerful enough to dissolve metal. It sits inside an organ made of living tissue. The only reason your stomach does not digest itself is a defense system that rebuilds every 3 to 4 days, layer by layer, without pause. That system is brilliant, but it is not invincible. Skipping meals, drinking too much alcohol, overusing painkillers, living under chronic stress, and carrying H. pylori all weaken the defenses. When the defenses fall, the acid burns through. That is how ulcers form. That is how stomachs bleed. That is how organs fail. But here is what is also true. The stomach is remarkably resilient. When you give it consistent meals, reduce the alcohol, use painkillers wisely, manage your stress, and treat infections, the defenses rebuild fast. The mucus returns. The cells regenerate. The acid goes back to doing its job on food instead of on you. So here's your action plan. 1. Eat regular, moderate meals. Your stomach needs a schedule. 2. Reduce alcohol. It strips the mucus shield. 3. Use NSAIDs cautiously and with food. They shut down the defense factory. 4. Manage stress. Cortisol floods the stomach with excess. 5. Get tested for H. pylori if you have ongoing stomach issues. Removing it restores the full barrier. You are not just a listener. You are the stomach we've been reporting from tonight. If this episode helped you, share it, subscribe, leave a comment. You might just save someone's stomach. From all of us at BNN, the Body News Network, take care of yourself. Good night.